I'm clutching Rex's leash as he growls low, nose buried in a smashed birthday cake. Children are screaming. Parents are running. Paper plates scatter across the backyard like frightened birds. My heart pounds so hard I can't hear anything. But the drumbeat of panic in my ears. The cake lies on the floor, white frosting streaked with red. Not blood, just jam, I think. But something's wrong. A metallic glint sticks out from the sponge. The words, "Happy 8th Lila," are barely legible, smeared across crumbled fondant. And then, I see it. A gun. A real one. Half buried inside the cake like some sick. Surprise. That's when I hear the first scream. Lila cut to black. Let me explain how we got here. I write this in my journal, the one I started after Claire died. They said it would help, that putting it into words would make the pain smaller. It didn't. I'm not even sure why I keep writing, except maybe to remember who I was before everything broke. Claire was killed during a carjacking 2 years ago, 1 block from our old house. Lila was in the back seat. She saw everything. She hasn't spoken more than a few words since. I quit the force the next day, sold the house, moved across the state to a quiet neighborhood where no one knew our names, where I could be just Dad and not Detective Cooper. Lila needed, and truth be told, I needed to disappear too. The only thing they let me keep from the department was Rex. Rex, my K9 partner, a grizzled old German shepherd who once sniffed out explosives like it was a game. He'd saved my life more times than I can count, and when Claire died, he became more than a dog. He became a piece of my past that understood without asking. Lila took to him almost immediately. Didn't talk, but she'd lie beside him for hours, braid his tail, bury her tears in his thick fur. There were nights I'd find her curled up against him like she used to do with her mom. Rex never moved, just watched me quietly with those amber eyes, like he was keeping vigil for both of us. We'd been doing better, at least I thought we were. Lila started humming again last month. She asked, no, whispered, that she wanted a birthday party. A real one, with cake, balloons, and just some nice kids. It felt like a miracle. I called every bakery within 20 miles. The one that answered was new. Family run. Baker Street Delights. A cheerful woman on the phone took the order. Said she'd make something beautiful for our little angel. Her words, not mine. I didn't think much of it. The morning of the party, I picked up the cake from the bakery. The box was heavy, dense. I joked with Rex in the truck. Guess they didn't skimp on the icing. Rex didn't wag his tail. He sniffed the box, then growled. That low, rumbling growl I hadn't heard since our last bomb threat call-out. Easy, boy, I said. It's just cake. He didn't move his nose, just kept sniffing, then gave a sharp, sudden bark. When we got home, he refused to let me take the box into the kitchen. He paced in front of it, tense, hackles up. Something about it spooked him. Bad. I didn't want to scare Lila, so I put the box on the dining table and led Rex out into the backyard. He barked once more at the closed sliding door before settling into the grass. When I came back in, Lila stood in front of the cake box, not touching it, just staring. Her fingers trembled at her sides. She looked pale. And then she whispered something I haven't stopped replaying since. It's cold, she said. It smells like the night Mommy left. I didn't even know. She remembered the smell of that night. I didn't want her to. The party was set for 3 p.m. We strung up balloons, set out little party hats. I kept glancing at the cake like it was an unexploded device. I didn't tell anyone what Rex or Lila said. I told myself I was being paranoid, overprotective, seeing patterns where there were none. Trauma messes with your judgment, right? By the time the guests arrived, Rex was a wreck. He wouldn't leave the side of the cake table, circled it like it was prey. Low growls under his breath, barely audible over the kids' laughter and music. The kids gathered for cake around 3:45. I told myself to relax, just breathe. This was supposed to be a happy day. Lila looked almost normal, wearing a little yellow. Dress Claire bought the year before she died. "All right, birthday girl," I said, picking up the knife. "Make a wish." But she didn't blow out the candles. She just stared. Rex lunged. I dropped the knife. The table tilted. The cake hit the floor, splattering frosting across the patio tiles. And then I saw it. Buried inside. Something metallic. I reached in with shaking hands. Pulled it out. A gun. A real gun. Black. Cold, coated in sugar and jam, military style. Engraved with something, but the serial number was scratched out. Rex stood in front of Lila like a sentry, teeth bared, ready for war. And the worst part, Lila didn't scream. She just said, "He knew." The police arrived fast. Fast enough to know they were already nearby. They questioned me, photographed everything, took the gun, but their eyes were wrong. Too many of them were watching Rex, watching Lila, not me. One officer, young, nervous, asked, "Sir, do you have enemies?" I didn't know how to answer, because I did, and one of them had just sent a gun to my daughter's birthday party. This wasn't just a cake, it was a message, and somehow Rex had already read it. They separated me from Lila at the station. Standard protocol, they said, but I saw the way the officers looked at me. Too long, too carefully, like they weren't sure if I was the hero or the villain in this story, like they were waiting for the truth to bleed out of me. I used to sit on their side of the desk. I know how this works. Detective Sandoval, the only one I recognized, closed the blinds before sitting down across from me. "You think this could be retaliation?" he asked. I shrugged, but my fingers were clenched tight around my knees. "From what? I've been out of the game for 2 years. But you were a cop for 15, he said, and a damn good one. You made enemies. I made arrests. That's not the same thing." He slid a photo across the table. The gun. Cleaned now, tagged, bagged, but unmistakable. "Ever seen this before?" I didn't want to say yes, but my face said it for me. A steel-framed M1911 variant. Heavy, custom. Only a few like it made it into circulation before the feds shut down the importer. I'd only ever seen one like it. It was used in a 2019 case I'd worked. A botched robbery. At a child's birthday party in Echo Park. A 9-year-old was shot. Wrong place. Wrong time. The cake had been swapped last minute by someone on the inside. The killer was never found. We buried that case under too many others. Buried it because no one wanted to admit a child had died because we didn't follow the right trail. But that gun, that cake, it was too much. "Is this connected to that old Echo Park case?" I asked. Sandoval blinked. "We thought you might tell us." That night I couldn't sleep. Neither could Rex. He paced from window to window, letting out soft, alert huffs every few minutes. Lila was asleep in our bed, arms tucked around one of Rex's old chew toys like a teddy bear. She hadn't spoken again since the party. I stared. At the cake box sitting on the kitchen table, Rex finally stopped pacing and scratched at the box, over and over again until I finally opened it. I hadn't looked inside since the police returned it to me, cleared of evidence, but still sticky with sugar. Rex sniffed at the lid, then barked, just once. I ran my fingers along the inside. Something rough scraped my nail, stuck in the cardboard lining, curled and crusted under a smear of hardened frosting. Was a piece of a torn photograph. I peeled it free. It was a photo of a little girl, not Lila. Short hair, wide smile, holding a balloon. The edges were singed. Frosting smudged the corners. It looked old, maybe a decade. My stomach dropped. "Who are you?" I whispered. Rex growled softly. A protective growl, not a warning. The bakery's name was on the receipt, still pinned to the fridge. Baker Street Delights. When I said the name out loud, Rex bristled. Tail stiff, ears erect. He remembered something I didn't. The bakery was dark by the time I got there. Not closed for the day, closed for good. The grand opening banner from just a week ago was crumpled on the ground. Windows were newspapered. Over. There was no sign it had ever been open at all. I walked around back. No cameras, no lights. Just silence and peeling paint. The lock was cheap. I broke in. The front smelled faintly of bleach. Everything was too clean, like someone had wiped the place down in a hurry. The display cases were empty. No trays, no crumbs, no life. I walked into the kitchen. The ovens were cold, the counters were dustless. Not a single spatula or bowl in sight. It was a ghost bakery, except for the back room. There were drawings, dozens of them, taped to the wall, like a kindergarten art show. Crayon and marker, childlike scrawls. One picture showed a girl holding hands with a big dog, black fur, sharp ears, just like Rex. Next to them, a man with no face, just an outline. X's where his eyes should be. Another drawing showed a cake, but instead of candles, it had guns sticking out of the top. My mouth went dry. I stepped closer. On one of the drawings was a name scribbled in the corner. Emmy. I didn't know an Emmy, but something told me I should have. There was a box of newspaper clippings in the corner, all unsolved cases, all from my district, all with one thing in common: children who vanished near birthday parties. And then I found it, a logo. On an old flyer tucked behind the radiator. Not Baker Street. Delight's Baker's Last Stand, a mobile cake vendor, used once in 2019 on the Echo Park case. My knees buckled. I had to sit. This wasn't a new bakery. It was the same one, with a new name, and someone was still using cakes to deliver death. I drove home in silence. Rex met me at the door, tail stiff, body tense. I didn't even say anything. Just crouched down and wrapped my arms around his neck. He didn't move. Just let me bury my face into his fur until the tears stopped. That night, I pulled out my old case files from storage. One stood out. A gun smuggled into the county courthouse. Inside a 3-tiered birthday cake. A girl named Emmy was the delivery kid. She was 9. She never made it home. The gun went missing. Case unsolved. I never found out who hired the bakery. We assumed the cake order was a distraction, but maybe it was the whole point. I stared at the photo fragment from the cake box, the smile, the balloon. It was Emmy. They baked her picture into my daughter's cake. This wasn't random. It was deliberate. Someone remembered that I failed to solve Emmy's case, and now they were making me relive it. I sat in the kitchen long after midnight, the box, the photo, and the case file spread out in front of me. Lila stirred in her sleep, murmuring something. Rex lifted his head. "What is, baby?" I asked, brushing hair from her face. She blinked up at me, glassy-eyed but calm. She said, "The girl in the cake. She was calling for her dog." I froze. What? She had a dog like Rex, but he didn't come. She drifted back to sleep. Rex stood, walked to the photo, and let out a low, guttural growl. Not fear, not confusion. Recognition. Rex's growl wasn't about the cake, it was about what was inside it, and maybe who put it there. I found it buried beneath boxes of old clothes and half-forgotten memories in the basement. Not metaphorically. Rex literally dug it out. I heard the scratching and thudding from upstairs and came down with a flashlight and a curse on my lips. But there he was, pawing frantically at a box I didn't recognize. It was unmarked, dusty, and sealed with brittle masking tape. I opened it with a pocket knife. Inside, yellowed papers, case files, clippings. And then I saw her. The same girl from the frosting-stained photograph, Emmy Calderon, age 9. Reported missing July 14, 2019. The report was brief. Her last known location, her home on Halcyon Street, 3 blocks from our house, 3 blocks. How had I never made the connection? I'd driven past that street every day since we moved. Here. The file had been forgotten, shuffled in with unrelated notes from my last year on the force. But it was her. The same big eyes, the same red balloon, same date of disappearance as the birthday party shooting I'd investigated. Her photo shouldn't have been in the cake, unless someone wanted me to find her again. I parked 2 houses down from the old Calderon place. No lights, no signs of life. The front yard overgrown, mailbox hanging open like a broken jaw. I let Rex out of the car. He sniffed the air and whimpered once, then growled. The front door creaked open before I touched it. Inside, the air was thick, moldy, cold. The floor creaked like it remembered footsteps too well. I moved slowly, flashlight cutting through layers of dust, children's shoes by the door, a rotting couch, family photos on the wall, frames cracked. All of them missing one thing. The girl, only group shots, but always a space next to the others, as if she'd been erased. Rex sniffed toward the kitchen. The freezer still worked. It hummed faintly. I opened it. Inside, a birthday cake. Perfectly. Preserved, frosted, pink. Plastic candles frozen mid-melt, the label on the box. Happy 9th, Emmy. Untouched, unspoiled, like it had waited for someone to return. I closed it, chest tight. Upstairs, Rex whined at a cracked door. The girls' room, faded wallpaper of clouds and balloons. A teddy bear missing an eye sat on the floor, propped against a bookshelf. The mirror was broken, and behind the bed frame, scratched deep into the plaster, he hid me in the cake. My hand went numb. I reached out to touch it just to be sure. The scratches were real. This wasn't a prank, this was a warning. I stepped back, heart pounding. Rex growled again, low and steady. We weren't alone. But when I turned, the hallway was empty. That night, I barely slept. Lila stirred around 3 a.m. and shuffled to the kitchen. I heard her whispering. When I got there, she stood barefoot in front of the fridge, eyes wide, lips moving. She said she doesn't want to be eaten again, she said softly. I knelt beside her, my fingers on her shoulder. Lila. Who? The girl in the cake, she said. She's mad and scared. The man with no face is coming. Rex barked, suddenly, ferociously. At the door, not just a bark, an alert. The same bark he used on the job when a suspect was about to breach. I raced to the window, nothing but fog and darkness. I checked the locks, all secure. Lila clung to my leg. She doesn't want another party, Daddy. She said no more singing. What singing? She hears it every night. The next morning, I woke with a start. Something was under my pillow. It was the photograph. The torn one. Emmy's picture. But I'd left it in my journal. I checked the crate. Gone. Rex's bed? The photo was there too. A second copy. Or the same. Demoved. I sat down, heart hammering. From the kitchen came a faint, haunting hum, a child's voice singing, "Happy birthday." To me, it stopped when I entered the room. The fridge door stood open. Inside, nothing but empty shelves, no cake, no photo. I checked my journal again, still gone. Later, I got a call from Sandoval. The gun, Rex's cake gun, was gone from the evidence locker, security footage, corrupted chain of custody, intact until the night before. Someone had taken it, or something. I went outside. The air felt different, denser. Rex stood by the garden, staring at the woods behind our house. The trees swayed in wind I couldn't feel. He turned to me, then barked once. Urgent, the same bark from the party. He knew something was coming, something old. I sat on the porch and opened Emmy's file again. This wasn't just a cold case. It was a loop, a pattern, a ritual. A girl disappears, a cake is delivered. Child nearly dies. The clues weren't just for me, they were part of something bigger. I looked at Lila playing in the yard, smiling, for now. But the birthday hadn't been for her. It had been for Emmy. And Emmy wasn't done yet. She was trying to warn us. Lila was gone. 1 minute she was coloring on the living room rug. The next, silence. No door creak, no cry. Just absence. Rex barked once, sharp, panicked, then sprinted to the back door, pawing at it with enough force to rattle the glass. My heart exploded into motion. I grabbed my flashlight, gun, and bolted after him. Outside, the fog had thickened. The air was damp and strangely sweet. Rex sniffed wildly, then stopped, nose low to the ground. Frosting, tiny, sticky footprints glistened in the grass. A trail of pink and blue. My daughter's footprints. They led toward the woods behind our home. A place I'd told her never to go alone, and there, just visible through the haze, stood a crooked little structure. An old playhouse leaning like it might collapse with a breath. I moved in. Rex growled. Someone was standing there. A man, unarmed, masked. Still, Lila stood behind him, confused, not afraid, almost entranced. "Lila!" I shouted. The man turned slowly. "I wouldn't," he said. His voice was calm, broken, not threatening, grieving. "You don't remember me, do you?" he said. The mask came off, his face, older, worn, but familiar. Photos, newspaper clippings, a memory buried beneath a mountain of others. Emmy's father. He stepped forward. Hands up. "My daughter," he said, voice cracking. "You failed her." "I tried to." "You stopped trying," he snapped. "They closed the case, you let them." He pulled something from his coat, the gun, the one from the cake, the one that had vanished from police evidence. "I wanted to kill the man who took her," he said. "I baked it into a cake just like he did. But my daughter was the one who opened it." His voice trembled. "She died because of me. But you walked away, retired, started over." He looked at Lila. She looked so much like Emmy. I thought maybe she'd understand, maybe she'd remember. His hands shook. "I never meant to hurt her. I just wanted to finish it." The gun raised, Rex lunged, the shot cracked like thunder. I fired back without thinking. The man dropped, gun tumbling from his fingers. But Rex collapsed beside him, bleeding. Ran, falling to my knees. "No, no, 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 no," Lila screamed and threw her arms around him. "Don't go," she whispered, sobbing. "Please don't go." Rex gave one last shallow breath. Then he licked her hand, tail wagging weakly. I held his head. His eyes were on mine. "Good boy," I whispered, choking. "You always knew." His eyes closed. Still. We buried Rex in the backyard, next to my wife's. "Please?" Lila helped, placing his favorite toy beside him. She didn't speak for a long time. Then, one night she did. We were sitting by the window, quiet. She looked up and said, "The girl says thank you." I turned. "What girl?" "The one in the cake," she said. "She's not cold anymore." We destroyed the gun, had it melted down by someone I trusted. Quietly. The bakery's location was investigated. No license, no real owner. Just a front. It's gone now. Every birthday we bake our own cake. No frosting, no candles, no surprises. And yet sometimes on quiet nights, I hear the soft pat of paws in the hallway. The familiar clink of a leash against the wall. I still keep it by the door, just in case he ever comes home.